Guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my 5-star reads of 2022. I'm super excited for this video. I love seeing people's favorite books. I have a lot of books, but some of them are in a series that I just wanted to pick out and be like, hey, this one's really good. But yeah, I have a wide selection of books. I even have some Kindle books I'm going to talk about today. So we're going to do all my physical books first, and then we're going to get into the Kindle ones. Let's go ahead and get started into my 5-star reads of 2022. This also is in no specific order. These are just my favorite books of 2022. So this first one is a part of a series, and that is Bloody Heart by Sophie Lark. I actually have 2 of her books on this list. So this is a part of the Brutal Birthright series. It is the 4th book in the series, and this is a second chance romance. It's so good. It is about Simone and Dante. They meet whenever they're like 16 years old, and then something happens. She moves away for a few years, and then she comes back and everything has changed, but they get a second chance to be together. It's so beautiful. It's so amazing, and I freaking love this book. I definitely want to reread these books soon because I want to go back and annotate them, but this book is so good, and the illustrations in here are beautiful. I don't know, just look at that. Isn't that so cool? And just the cover and the back, it's just so beautiful. So that is the first book on the list. The second book that I have is probably one of my favorite ones just from this entire year, and that is If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nowlin. This book is just so beautiful. It's so heartbreaking. If you watched my, I think, June or July wrap up, one of those two, you would have heard me talk about this. It just makes me feel like I'm in a different world whenever I read this book, because in this book, the author, her writing is so cool and just so beautiful. It's like you're reading a now and then book without it being a now and then. She kind of write in the past tense, but she's in the present. I don't know how to explain it. This book is just so beautifully written. It is a friends to lovers romance. It is Autumn and Finn. They were best friends growing up, and whenever they reached middle and high school, they started to kind of drift away. As this time passes, you get to follow Autumn through her journey of just realizing this is who I am, this is what I've known, and this is why I am the way that I am. And then as you get on to the book, you get to see Autumn and Finn's relationship grow. They kind of fade away from one another, but then they come back, and you get to follow that journey. This book is just so beautiful, and I just love it so much. I really want to reread it so I can also annotate this book because it's so good, and it is sad. So if you do not like sad books, you should read it anyway, because why not? That's what I'm going to say to that, even though it makes no sense. The next book that I have is Hot House Flower by Krista and Becca Ritchie. If you have never heard of the series, what have you been doing? I feel like the series, it just keeps on being talked about again and again and again because so many people love it, and this is a part of the Addicted / Calloway Sister series by Krista and Becca Ritchie. Hot House Flower follows Daisy and Reich. Daisy is one of the Calloways. She's one of the Calloway sisters, and Reich Meadows is friend of the family, kind of. If you read the books, you understand. But in this book, you get to follow Daisy. But Daisy is such a carefree character. I really relate to her on so many levels. She is just this carefree girl who at least acts carefree, and she's a model, but her parents push her so far. She just kind of gets lost in this world and really doesn't know who she is. She's trying to find out who she is, and her and Reich have been in this friendship for a couple years now, and just one night changes everything between them. It's just really interesting, their entire relationship. This book was one of my favorite books I have read out of this entire series so far. I've read 5 of the books, and this one's my favorite, and there's 5 more. So I'm really excited. But if you have not picked up the series, please do. It's so good. The 4th one that I have is A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner. This book is so beautiful. I keep on saying that about all of these books, but they're all so beautiful. So this book follows Bee and Jamie. Jamie dates Bee's best friend. That's how they meet. But then him and the friend break up, and then Bee and Jamie start to kind of get together. They start getting close, but something always breaks them apart. They go through this a couple times, that they meet up, they found each other again, and then something is in the way, they can't be together, and they try to push it, but it doesn't really work out, and this happens again and again and again for years. Okay, so it is a second chance romance. It's kind of I don't want to say it's a soulmate trope because it's not. It's it's always been you. That's the trope. It's always been you trope. It's so beautiful. This book is just amazing. In this book, you do get the actual book, and then there is a bonus little book at the end called Love Whiskey. So it is from Jamie's point of view, and once you read the book, you understand why it's a love letter to whiskey. You understand the meaning behind it. It's just so beautiful. I will never stop talking about this book. It is one of my favorite books of all time. I definitely want to reread it before the end of the year just because I want to finish out this year strong with a book that I love. Does that make sense? I don't know what else to say about this book other than it's beautiful. And then the next two books are part of a series as well, and that is the Bridgerton series by Julia Quinn. So we have The Viscount Who Loved Me and An Offer from a Gentleman. If you have seen the Bridgerton show, definitely pick up the books, especially if you love the show, pick up the books. They're so good. They are so much better, and I don't want to be like that person, but like they are so much better. But like the show also does pretty good at adapting the books, I will say. For The Viscount Who Loved Me, this book is so much better than the show. There were so many parts that were left out in the show that if they were added from the book, it would have made it so incredibly like better. Like chapter 11 and chapter 12 are my favorite chapters in this book. It really shows just the connection between Kate and Anthony, and the book is just so good. If you don't know what this book is about, I didn't even say what this book was about. In the Bridgerton family, there's 8 of them, and each book follows like a sibling from that family. And in this one, you have Anthony's story, and basically what he's trying to do is trying to find a wife. He comes across Kate's sister, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna marry this sister. But he has a connection with Kate, and so it's a bunch of drama, but it's a lot of fun. And then you have Lady Whistledown putting her 2 cents every single chapter, and it's amazing. Yeah, Kate is also the older sister, so she's just like, I want to protect my sister. I don't want to get in with this man because like they're gonna marry, but like stuff goes down, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's really good. And then the second one is An Offer from a Gentleman. I really cannot choose a favorite between these two because they're both so good. This is Anthony's story, as I said, but this one is a Benedict story. Benedict is my favorite brother. I love him. I love him so much. So this one is kind of a Cinderella retelling. So you follow Sophie Beckett and Benedict. Sophie goes to this ball that the Bridgerton family is hosting, and it's a masquerade. So of course she goes all out Cinderella style, and then clock strikes midnight and she has to go home, and they don't see each other for years. And then they see each other again and things start to pick back up. Yeah, so it's Cinderella, second chance romance. It's so good. It's so good. And then the next 3 are a part of a big old 11 book series, but specifically these 3 are my favorite, and that is going to be the Shatter Me series. I do have the last 3 with me because the last 3 are the best in this entire series. It's so good. I gave Restore Me, Defy Me, and Imagine Me all 5 stars. I think the first 2 are the only books that I gave like 4 stars, but like the rest of them all got like 5 stars. Don't know what the Shatter Me series is about. It's about this girl named Juliet. She has been locked in an asylum for like 214 days or something like that, and one day this boy comes into her cell and he's like, oh, like I don't know why I'm here, but like I'm here to like be with you, I guess. And then she gets taken out of the asylum, and then she meets Aaron Warner and things go down, and she also has lethal touch. So it's her like coming into contact with her powers, really understanding what the reestablishment is, which is their government, overthrowing it, doing all these great amazing things. The entire journey that she goes on, the character developments that you see from her, from all the rest of the characters in the books, is so beautiful. So especially in these last 3, the last 3 really pick up the entire series. I loved the second part of the series. It was so good. The character development that you get from her, from Warner, from Kenji, from Adam, the plot twists that go on. I was on my toes the entire time reading these books. Like I think I read them all in like 24 hours because I could not put them down, and every single time I had to put them down I was like, okay, why are we doing this? Like why do I have to leave right now? Because I really want to finish my book. If you have not read this series yet, I really recommend that you put it on your TBR for 2023, or you have time to finish it in December. Like give yourself a week. I bet you can finish it. Trust me, they're so good. And then the last of the physical books that I have to share with you guys, because we're not done. I still have like 3 or 4 more for Kindle. The last 4 physical books I have is the entire Twisted series. I was just gonna pull out my favorites from this series, but this series needed a little special place in this video. So the entire Twisted series by Anna Huang is just amazing. It's beautiful, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about it. So the first one that we have is Twisted Love. This one is Brother's Best Friend, and I love this book. It's so amazing. I read this at the very beginning of 2022, and I wish this book was as big as the other ones are. This one is very tiny. I think it's like right over 300 pages, and I just wish that this book was longer. It is so amazing, and everybody says that this book is not their favorite, but it is for me. This book is my favorite out of the entire series because it just holds a special place in my heart. Like I related so much to Ava, and I honestly love Alex's character development. Not like in this book he had some, but even throughout the rest of the books you see his character development and you see their relationship just continue, and it's so cute and it's so adorable. And for that reason. They are my favorite couple and I love them. I will never stop talking about them. And the next one that we have is Twisted Games. This one follows Reese and Bridget. It's a bodyguard romance. So she is supposed to be queen. So she is a princess who is now supposed to be queen of her country, and she has Reese who comes in and he's supposed to be her new bodyguard, and it's just supposed to be work, and then feelings get caught up in everything, and you can just guess where it all goes. And you should read the book because it's so good. Don't listen to what anybody says about the first book. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, I'm not even gonna continue the series because the first one's so bad. Like, number one, it's good, and number two, you should continue the series even if you don't like the first book, because this one is just so much better. Like, I continually think about every single one of these books every single day. I don't even say that to exaggerate, like I genuinely mean it. So I love this book. The third one is Twisted Hate. I will say this one is not my personal favorite. I think that there's a lot that could have been changed that just, like, I don't know. It's an enemies to lovers. It is Josh and Jules. Josh is Ava's brother and Jules is Ava's best friend, and they've hated each other for years. And then after a one night stand, because they're like, okay, what if we just do it? You know, not that I agree with that, but like, what if they're just like, oh, we just do it and we'll just forget about each other? Well, they don't forget about each other. Things happen, things go down, and a love blooms, you know? I will say this one kind of did disappoint me just a little bit. I feel like it was very cliche. The plot that happened in here with Jules, I was not 100% pleased with. And Josh, honestly, his character could have been so much better. I feel like he really had no depth, but this book was great nonetheless, and it is in my top favorites of 2022 just because, like, it's the Twisted series. Like, this Twisted series is entirely, like, my favorite. And then the last book of the Twisted series is Twisted Lies. This book is thick. Like, I think it's 600 pages. This book follows Stella and Christian. Stella and Christian know each other just like from the previous book, because when Stella and Jules are moving out of their old apartment, they're trying to find a new one. And Christian is like, hey, come live at my apartment. And they're like, wait, that's too expensive. And then Christian's like, well, I'll like cut the price down like so much for you. So they literally are living in a penthouse in like such an amazing apartment for dirt cheap, just because Christian likes Stella. And it's kind of creepy at first, and then you start to read, and then you start to fall in love with his character. You get to see his character development. You start to see Stella and her character development. It's like boy obsessed trope. She is also kind of like famous a little bit, like she's an influencer, but not in a cringy way that other books put it as. And then the plot in here is actually really amazing because it's not just a love story. No, it is so much more than that. The plot in here is so beautiful. I like once you start reading the series, you can't put it down. So now that we got all of my physical books covered, now we have to get into the Kindle reads of this year. So the first one that I have is Broken Vow by Sophie Lark. I talked about this one a little bit earlier. This is a part of the Brood of Birthright series. It is the 5th book of this series, and it's so good. In this book, you have Ryland and Riona. I think that's how you pronounce it. It is a grumpy sunshine, but the girl is grumpy and the guy is sunshine. This book made me realize how much I love that trope whenever it's like the girl and then the guy. Basically what happens is that Riona gets caught up in something. She needs a bodyguard. So Ryland comes in and he's like, hey, I'm gonna be your bodyguard. And Rihanna's like, I literally hate you because I do not want a bodyguard. And then he's very like, oh, I'm gonna make you change your mind, like you're gonna love me, like this is gonna be great, we're gonna have a friendship. And Rihanna's like, no we're not, like I do not like you, I do not want anything to do with you. And he ends up kind of cracking her shell. She comes out of her shell, and then of course romance blooms, and so much more happens like beyond that. Like you get to really see them connect. If you have not picked up the Brood of Birthright series by Sophie Lark yet, you really need to. So the second Kindle read that I have is Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. This book is so good. It is a love triangle, but a great love triangle. I personally love love triangles just because like the drama of it all, it's very fun for me to read. This one's not like a bad love triangle, like it's actually really good. So you have the brother's best friend, the main girl, and then the girl's other guy best friend that she meets while in college. Stuff goes down there in the summer. She grows to college and she's like, okay, I need to reinvent myself. I need to become my own person and not rely on these other people. And that's where she meets the second guy, and so much goes down. The last 20% of this book had me crying. It was so good. I'm not gonna stay on it way too long, especially because I just did a wrap up where this book was in there because I reread it for the second time this year within like 3 months of the first read. So I'm gonna do one more. I have other Kindle reads on here, but this video is getting very long, so I'm just gonna do one more Kindle read. And if you guys want a full like Kindle recommendations video, please let me know because I will do that. But the last book that I'm going to talk about is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. This book made me realize that I actually don't love the off-campus series as much as I thought I did, because this book is a hockey sports romance kind of book. The guy is a hockey player and the girl is a figure skater. Something happens to the hockey player's ice rink, so they have to go practice on the figure skaters college team ice rink, and that's how they meet. It is Grumpy Sunshine. The girl is grumpy, the guy is sunshine. It's beautiful, and you're like, okay, so it's a hockey sports romance, so the guy of course is going to be all about himself. There's going to be a bunch of miscommunication. It's going to be so bad. The girl's going to pretend that she's strong whenever like she's actually annoying. Like, no, this book is actually so good. Number one, no miscommunication. Number two, the guy is not a jerk and he's not all about himself, which is something that I was very surprised by. And then number three, the girl's actually really likable and I love her so much, and her character development throughout this entire book is so amazing. Like, this book is so good. If you have not read it yet, please go read it. It's on Kindle Unlimited. Even if not, buy the paperback and read it on there because it's so amazing. So yeah, those are all the books I'm going to talk about today. I've been talking for so long, like 30 minutes at least, and I do have more books to talk about just that I love. So if you guys want another video of like recommendations or my 5-star reads, please let me know because this is only just a handful of them. I love you all so much. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and everything in between, and I will see you all in my next video. I love you and peace out.